to go away from the home and do it with their friends, and there's a lack of control, and I don't know what's going on.
What is the guarantee?
But they're going to do that anyway.
Anyway,
Right,
you
sure,
can go the
of
next
course,
day and say,
yeah,
look, now I can sit and drink with my dad. Come, let's get
What
together.
about the fear of what he's saying?
Hi everyone, welcome back to the Manarchy podcast with me, Chris. I'm joined again by Samit and Wilson. And today we're going to be talking about addictions. Very interesting topic and something I'm sure a lot of you will be able to relate to. So guys, welcome. Thank you for joining me again.
How are you doing?
Thank you for being
Very
here.
good, very good. Samit, tell me, what is an addiction in your view?
An addiction is something that is transgressed further than a habit. It becomes part of your lifestyle and a level of dependency that your physiological functions cannot break away from. Essentially to the point where certain habits, certain activities within your body are now dependent on that particular external factor or that repetitive behavior. Breaking away from it can be a ridiculous challenge, and of course we're going to be talking about that in more detail. But I think it is a shift from the baseline where you are now dependent on something else that you're finding difficult to break away from, because that external factor, external element that your body now desires and requires, whether that's hormonal or psychological, has taken over control. So it is a loss of control.
Wilson, what do you think? What's your view on addictions? What are they?
Which is something which you just can't give up, which you just can't live without. You're kind of so used to it. You kind of feel miserable if you're not able to do that particular task or whatever it is. It could be difficult, it could be easy, whatever it is. Addiction is something where you get that complete joy of being on that extreme level. Which is beyond human understanding at times. Why would an individual do that? But from the other side, as this is what I love doing it, you might find it extreme, but for me, it's a normal thing. And that is a dangerous factor again.
It's a shift from baseline.
Again, because they don't seem to understand what is fun and what is being addictive.
Yes.
And once you're addictive, you already cross that line, which is dangerous for others, but not for you. It could be dangerous for you as well, because there could always be a reaction from the other side as well. But till that time, you'll go on and on till literally somebody holds you and says, stop it, man.
Yes. Yeah.
To add to this, though, it could also stop being pleasurable,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it could just be that now it's the pleasure aspect's gone. Now it's just habit.
Habit, yes.
Now it's just a repetitive action that needs to be done because it's part of your personality. It's a tick that's just
because
there,
you're so
right?
conscious about it. So you want to do it.
So the pleasure might just have gone already. Right? What was initially
Like,
there.
for example, cigarettes.
Yeah.
It starts with pleasure, isn't it? Just because you want to imbibe someone. Somebody offers a cigarette, your friend smokes, you say, okay, let me have a drag. The first drag is difficult. We always cough. The second drag, the third drag. And then it's only for style. You want to attract your girlfriends.
Habitual.
You kind of get into a situation where everybody is dancing and all that, so you just want to smoke.
Social factors.
No, exactly. But then you're not understanding that you're slowly getting tracked into this addiction.
It's like an incremental building of tolerance towards something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the more that you build that tolerance, like I can remember years ago, and there was never really an addictive element to guys in the gym consuming pre-workout before they trained.
Yes.
Right? But then you're supposed to cycle off of these things when they create a stimulus in your body. That goes for anything, right? Alcohol, any type of drug that you're consuming, anything that you're building a tolerance to. If you don't cycle off of that thing, and now I'm not saying that if you take illegal substances that you need to cycle off cocaine, right?
Exactly.
I'm saying that you need to, if we're talking about alcohol, right? If you drink alcohol every day for 7 days a week, 365 days a year, you're probably going to increase your tolerance to that particular stimulant. So yes, it's probably a good idea to lay off that thing for a while. That might help to decrease your need for that thing. That's essentially how people become alcoholic, right? So yes, it's those incremental increases in that thing that slowly build up over time that you're not really conscious of, and subconsciously you've increased your tolerance, and you need more and more of that thing in order to be able to feel a certain type of way, which is typically the reason why people become addicted to certain things.
Exactly.
Right. But on the subject of addiction, what do you think creates it, Samit? What do you think creates addiction?
I think there's two answers to this, right? One is the genetic factors that you've got, which is often ignored.
Yeah.
And I'd say more often than not, it's actually ignored. And then you've got the physiological and psychological factors, right? Addiction is the movement away from something as simple as just, it could be a nervous tic that leads to a certain action that becomes repetitive for a variety of reasons, that turns into a habit, that can turn into some level of a dependency, and then slowly slips into transfer of control, right? So this, from a genetic perspective, something that we're learning about more and more now is that different people are born with different levels of tolerance to addiction.
Yeah.
Or you could say proclivity to addiction, like depending on which way you're looking at it. So you could be born with an addictive personality, and therefore you may have greater susceptibility to a variety of addictive factors. Let's not just say foods or drugs or whatever. It could be addictive habits. It could be as simple as playing video games that you get very addicted to, right? It's the same cellular pathway that is used for video game addiction as it is used for food, as it used for certain drugs.
The body doesn't know the difference.
It doesn't know the difference at all. It's just the same dopamine regulation that's actually happening across the board. So it is important for you to know what your tendencies are, because that is something you'll find very difficult to change.
Yeah.
We can talk about genetics versus epigenetics and how much you can fight against your genetics, but that's something you were born with. So if you have a higher tolerance towards addictive behavior, or the ability to get away from addictive behavior, we were talking about that before, then maybe you're less at risk.
Yeah.
On the other aspect of it is, what are you exposed to? What are the external sources and factors?
Well, that was what I was going to ask, Wilson. Would you say that there's a social element to addictions?
Most of the addictions have got two common factors. One is impression, another one is the ego.
Yeah.
All right?
Well said.
I can do better than him. I can do better than her. And this is where the whole crux, that is where the core begins actually. And if you want to create an impression, trust me, anyone, I mean, we have gone to various lengths during our heydays we are talking about. You want to create an impression. You want to get ahead of someone. You like a girl and there are a couple of guys already attracted and she's attracted to someone. You want to break that mold somehow. And what you do, then you go to extremes, which is not, see, whatever is not normal is kind of addiction. Yeah, and that brings in your abnormal behavior. You might not see it. We might not see it. But for example, coffee. I mean, I know people who can gulp 10, 15 espressos in a day.
Yeah.
And that's
I
not
know them
normal.
too. Yeah.
But for the guy who's drinking, this is it. For them, it's normal. But for me, from the other side, we look and say, oh, this is not normal. Now, this is called addiction. So the impression and the ego, for example, you want to do a deadlift. I'm just talking about. You 100, the other guy comes is much more skinnier than you. You watch these videos of this guy, Arsalan, his name is? Anatoly.
Yeah.
He's skinny. He just comes and carries in big, huge guys over there. Say, can you actually do it? You see, now that guy wants to impress. So we don't know. We just watch him on the video, lifts weight. But what goes beyond that or behind
It's
that?
a social trigger.
Exactly.
It essentially creates
You
expectation.
understand? So
forces.
you're at it all the time. And that's the core problem of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to smoke. Mom and dad, don't be surprised. So I used to smoke a pack and a half, almost 2 packs. I started with impression. Because my friends used to smoke, I said, okay, let's
You just
start.
want to look cool.
Exactly. Because if you're not, you don't smoke, and it's a big thing then. I said, okay, let me start smoking. And what happens? You're slowly dragged into it without you actually knowing it.
That social
And
peer
by the
pressure.
time you reach that place, it's difficult to come back. Unless then you say, this is it, I'm not going to forward.
This right here is actually wonderful as a thought, because it's a personal experience on your point.
Yeah,
It's the same for me.
Yeah.
I have had bouts of addiction to video games. So difficult for me to break away from, to the point where I would sacrifice sleep. Of course, that's the most obvious thing that goes away. I would forget to eat, right? To actually eat, right? And there are stories of, recorded stories of people dying because they just forgot to eat for like several days at an end.
Yeah.
And that goes
Yeah,
back
yeah.
to that point of how addicted you are.
Which has always been weird to me. Whenever people have said, oh, I forgot to eat, I've never understood that concept.
I'm an
But
example
maybe
of
there is
that.
an underlying issue with addiction, for example, to something which you're
Where
not
that
privy
took
to.
so much more of a priority over basic functions of your body, right?
Let
and
me
then
ask
it
you
leads
something.
to other
Sumit.
addictions.
So, Sumit, you never used to feel hungry. You used to feel hungry. You say, forget it. This is
no,
more
so
important.
this is my point. This is very interesting you asked this, because an addiction to video games would keep me so engaged that the only thing I would think about from a sustenance perspective for food or drink or whatever would be what I've kept right next to me,
Right.
which would be chips,
Oh,
which has
okay.
MSG in it, right? Which is super addictive, we know this.
Yeah.
And sodas,
Yes.
which back then, we're talking about 25 plus, 30 years plus ago, would be no Diet Cokes, none of that stuff. So even if I'm,
Full fat,
it's all
full
sugar.
stuff.
So then that leads you to an addiction to sugar,
Exactly.
which then leads to some other addiction that leads me to chronic fatigue and God knows what else, right? I mean, we're talking about an entire plethora of stuff. So it's a social factor because there was no online video gaming at that time. So it was purely just friends, LAN parties. You know, you'd have like a bunch of kids sitting together and just playing, and we're just drinking Mountain Dews and Pepsis. So this is crazy. It's all social factors, right? Whether that's a cigarette, whether that's video games, whether that's
Chips,
you
even
know,
chips
food.
are such a dangerous
Like
thing, isn't it?
all growing up, all my birthday parties, whatever they were in Hardee's or Pizza Huts or Pizza Inns. Right? And then you start getting addicted to food, right? And then before you know it, you're addicted. Here's a laundry list of things that you're addicted to, and you don't even know.
And also, I think that from the point of view of addictions, it just kind of drives home the message. There's a reason why with caffeine, there is a certain amount of milligrams you should consume in a day. There's a guideline for that. There are guidelines in terms of how much alcohol you should.
But who pays attention to the guidelines
No, well,
anyway?
this is the point. It's that the lack of paying
That's the
attention to those guidelines is the reason why people fall into problems.
What was your addiction? Chris, come on, tell us.
For me, to be honest with you, most of my adult life, I don't really have much of an addictive personality.
Okay.
So there are things that I enjoy, but I've not necessarily been addicted to. But when I moved to this region, I can for sure say when I first came, I was addicted to shisha. 100%.
There you go.
Like it would be like when I was back home, if I wanted to watch a football match or something like that, socialize with friends, everyone around me would be smoking shisha, and I'd be there just sipping my mint tea, not really engaged because I didn't. In my head, I was like, well, I don't smoke cigarettes. Why would I smoke shisha? And then I moved here, and it was such a cultural norm. I was like, okay, let me try it.
It's a social thing.
Let me try it. Turned into every time I now go to watch a football match,
You
and I
must
love
have.
football. Now all of a sudden I can't go and watch a match without actually
But tell
having
me,
shisha by my side at the same time.
But it's not shisha alone, right?
No, this is
it's
very
not shisha, it's
intriguing.
nicotine.
Yes.
Because for me, that was vapes.
Yes.
We talked about this. I'd be with a bunch of friends and they're all vaping. Oh, let me have a vape. And before you know it, you're hanging out more and more. And then you're a vaping person.
That's it.
And
But
for me,
is-
it was just easier to just do a cold turkey thing. For all of my friends, it wasn't.
Yeah.
So
And
they're
by the
still
way,
doing it.
and
But
for a
is
lot of
shisha safe
Mm.
compared to vape
Yeah.
and cigarettes?
I mean,
Well,
you can
I
argue
mean,
any number of things here.
yeah,
But at the end of the day,
you
they're
say
all
that.
external factors.
Yeah, you say that, but I mean, like there's been research to suggest that an hour of smoking shisha is the equivalent of smoking 200 cigarettes, right? So we think
200
cigarettes worth of
smoke.
Serious.
Yeah.
Oh,
Less
and
particulate
this-
matter, so you're not
Yeah.
getting the tars
because
and
it
all
doesn't
that.
smell and it doesn't smell like a cigarette, and you can't kind of detect it kind of that way. It kind of comes across as if it's more healthy, but it absolutely isn't.
No. So
but
bad,
look
is
at
it?
what the
Never
studies
knew
came
about
out.
this.
The first studies are coming out for vapes, right? It's only been like 10 years or 15 years since it became commonplace.
Yeah.
So the studies are coming out and saying this, that vapes are inherently better for you than cigarettes because they don't have any of the tar and any of the particulate matter and all that stuff that deposits within your lungs. But guess what? The alternative to that is because of the fact that it's flavored and it's got ethylene glycol and glycerol and a bunch of other stuff in there, you taste something that you like tasting, and it's laced with nicotine salts,
Yeah.
which creates the same addiction, but you're doing 500 puffs a day, right? So even if you're getting lesser amount of nicotine per puff, and what you're actually replacing the tar and all that is with a ridiculous amount of frequency of doing it.
Yes.
So the overall amount of nicotine going in
It's
is
the
far
same.
higher.
It's the same.
And you're replacing the tar and all the other stuff which comes from the tobacco leaf and the paper and all that stuff with ethylene glycol and glycerine and God knows what else.
Yeah. There was actually a recent
There's,
post I saw.
there's tungsten in there. There's all sorts of stuff that's coming from the filament that's burning.
Well, this is it. There was a recent post I saw that was a surgeon, female surgeon. She was talking about the young, the youth. Obviously, it's quite prevalent with the youth.
Yes.
But she was talking about chronic disease and surgeries that she's performed on the lungs of young people when she's made those incisions.
Who are vaping,
and
is
that
it?
The people who are vaping,
My goodness.
their lungs being coated with an oil,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
You saw that?
That is the.
And so, I mean, look, when you're smoking cigarettes, your lungs are not coated with oil, but they're coated with tar. It doesn't seem to matter what. And when you're smoking shisha, it's very much the same. It might not be coated with things that I'm aware of, but it's still a nicotine addictive aspect to smoking those things. So, what can we say here is the take-home message with regard to overcoming these addictions, or maybe not becoming addicted to these things in the first place?
I've got something else to say prior. I mean, after I come to what is the take-home message. I mean, also now there are a lot of parents, brothers, sisters, relatives who are watching this. So I could be wrong. You can go against me, but I would love to have a debate on this. Fathers and mothers offering drink to their son. Oh, you come of age now. Have a drink. Now, for all you know, your son might be drinking. He might not be telling you. Or that's the first time he has a taste of alcohol you're offering him. And then you feel, it's okay, he's not my friend. Look, I always believe this. Parents will always be parents. You be friends.
Absolutely. There's a line.
But then you're parents. The moment you start offering something which you know could be a possibility of someone being addicted if he doesn't have that willpower and self-control, that could be detrimental.
But by the way, do you know why a lot of parents do that? The reason is because a lot of parents have the mindset that as long if it's supervised and I give it to my son or daughter and I see them doing it in front of me,
I can
at
control
least
it.
they're doing it in front of me and I can control it, rather than the aspect of they're going to go away from the home and do it with their friends and there's a lack of control and I don't know what's going on.
What is the guarantee?
But they're going to do that anyway.
Anyway,
Right,
you
sure,
can go the
of
next
course.
day and say,
Yeah.
look, now I can sit
Yeah.
and drink with my dad. Come, let's get
What
together.
about the fear of what he's saying, which is it becomes a gateway?
Yeah.
Yes.
Just like you've normalized it, right?
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
like a very fine line.
Yeah.
I see the
It
challenge
is.
on both sides,
Yeah,
actually.
There is. I mean, it's good. I mean, but you never know. These are vulnerable minds. 21, 22, we talk about adults, yes, but they're still vulnerable to all the society pressures and pleasures and whatever it is. So please be careful. Yes, you've got every right to treat your son as your friend. I'm not against it, but you've got more wisdom. You're more wise than your son.
Yes.
That's the reason he looks up to you for everything. So addiction, that could be also a part where it all starts.
Yeah.
And then don't literally go and say, I'm sorry, I did this. No, be very careful. Try, sit him down or her down and say, these are the repercussions. This is what you need to do. Who are your friends? You need to be very careful in this day and age. Anything can happen.
This is
anytime.
critical.
So
I mean,
your take-home
my
message?
take-home message would be linked very deeply with this. Is when we're talking about ourselves, it's about going right back to what we talked in the last episode. If you remember, we were talking about measuring. Understand your capability of dealing with external factors.
Yeah.
True.
How do you react to them? Have you seen yourself become more susceptible faster? And when you become susceptible to something and you see yourself developing some kind of a dependency, how easily do you get out of it?
Yeah.
Is it an insurmountable challenge, or is it you're just lucky and blessed and you can cold turkey it
Exactly.
and deal with it? Measurement is key. And after that, once you understand that stuff, you'll still fall prey to things, right? I mean, this society is built on basically a dopamine regulated system of like push and pull, right? Instagram is addictive. TikTok is addictive.
It's
Food
so
is
much of
addictive.
deception
Drinks are
around, so
addictive.
much of
Alcohol is
deception
addictive.
around.
But what do? Have a buddy system. Know full well that there are people out there who are willing to help you, who can help you, who can assist you in at least recognizing those things that you have not seen as the source of your addiction.
Exactly.
The source isn't the vape. I recognize this for myself.
Yeah.
The source for me was the friends. So every time I would hang out with them, I would pluck it off their hands, even if I wasn't vaping.
It's tempting.
So the way around it doesn't necessarily, the easier way is just like, I'm just not going to be friends with these guys anymore. That's an easy solution.
Yeah.
But then you're also cutting yourself off from your social circle. So the other side would be convert them into your buddies and be like, listen guys, I'm trying not to vape.
Yeah.
So even if I ask you for it, don't give it to me.
Yeah.
You get my point. So buddy system. So measure first to understand how your body reacts and behaves. And second, have the support system in place, whether that's your brother, sister, friends, father, whoever, parents. And they'll help you through it. They'll help you slowly get past it or give you systems to do it.
For me, I think addiction. We talked before about understanding yourself, right? And I think understanding yourself is the primary thing. You have to understand yourself before everything else.
Yeah.
For me, having that self-awareness from addiction for me comes from something that's missing, right? You're trying to plug a gap about, something within you that you're trying to get a hit for because, for example, if someone's over-consuming alcohol, they're probably trying to dull the feeling of something that they haven't really addressed.
Beautifully
Same
said.
with any type of drug that they're consuming. If somebody is consuming too much caffeine, it's probably because they feel tired and they feel that's something they need to pick me up all the time. Or maybe they don't sleep well, or they have some sort of habits that mean that they don't get enough rest, or maybe they don't have the right nutrition, as we talked about in the previous episode. These things together, you have to understand yourself. You have to understand, are you doing the basics in your life that are not causing your hormones to be so irregular that you need to get a hit to create a higher hormone in this aspect and a higher hormone, lower hormone in this aspect. Understanding yourself and understanding what your vices are, what is missing in your life, what have you not addressed. Those things are really important to avoiding addiction altogether, in my view.
Absolutely, well said. Perfect.
Your body is like a donut.
Yeah.
Sweet, and right in center there is something, always a hole.
There's always a hole. There's always something missing.
And we all try to fill that hole.
Yeah.
And it's up to the individual how they want to do it.
And we can go into that discussion of like filling that hole up with something more positive.
So yeah.
But
Some of the time. Some of the time.
Another fantastic discussion.
Thank you.
Hope you all found this useful. And please like, share, and subscribe. Comment your opinions down below. We'd love to hear what you think. And we'll see you on the next episode.
Cheers.